welcome to Fuji Speedway, where Chris Cornwell starts on pole from Lam Fong, and Matthew Hart, Christian Bentley starting fourth from Ica World, and Devin Butler, whose teammate Akari Lopez starts alongside. Dominic Hudson, points leader, is down in 8th from David Circulara and Jamal Perez. Then it's the two Andretti's of Shen and Austin, then it's Matthews Antonio, Ahmed Cilia, Zenzo, and Antonio Ponte. Kazuki Sim starts his home race down in 17th from Rondon Animates and Daniel Ortega. Then it's Rai Franca, Mario Kloska, his teammate, Viper Alves, Kimi Nyla, and Dominic Benson. Well, this is going to be a very exciting race. The ChampCar World Series hits Japan for the first of 2 races as all 5 lights go on. And the ChampCar Grand Prix of Fuji is underway with a brilliant getaway there for Lam Fong. Unfortunately, we can't quite see it as they come down into turn number 1. Cornwell holding on to the race lead. We go on board with number 73, who's looking to try and get past, coming through turn 3. He's got the outside line, but that's not the optimal line. So looking further back, Bentley getting overtaken by Matthew Hart. It's a 5-second time penalty comes to Mario Kloska, the Belgian driver, trying to stay in the top 20 as we go on board with Chris Cornwell, who's trying to hold on to the race lead. But Lam Fong, with a lot more experience, not just in these cars, but in the ERL as a whole, he's trying to hold on to the pass that he tries to make, but he just can't hold on to. Chris Cornwell maintains the race lead on the opening lap, but the lunge comes through the chicane for the Vietnamese driver, but he loses out. He's going side by side with Christian Bentley, just trying to maintain second as they come through the massively banked final corner. It is an absolute marvel to see this here in Japan. Dominic Vancelau, the man at the very back of the pack, he's the odd man out as there goes the 73 of Lam Fong coming out of turn number 1 in front of Chris Cornwell, who now has to play offense coming through 3. He plays it well. Brilliant switch back there to hold on to the inside line. Now Rai Franca getting a time penalty. That's both Trackhouse drivers. Yes, they're making their way through the pack, but they now have time penalties to their name. Championship leader Dominic Hudson, he's moved up 2 positions, up to 6th. Well, he's going to drop down to 7th there if Butler can hold on, and it looks like the British driver will to 6th position. Attack mode is online. That's going to help out this man, the American number 32, Christian Bentley, the Sims 888 TGR, making the lunge through the chicane. Almost forces Cornwell into the wall, and someone has gone into the wall. That's a big hit for Matthew Hart, who now has front wing damage in the number 21 Forsyth racing car. They'll likely have to come into the pits and get that repaired as his teammate Kimi Nyla, winner last time out, now with a 5-second time penalty. Christian Bentley with the fastest lap of 1:08. And you can see Hart coming in, fixing that front wing. He's going to be the last man out on track. And for Forsyth, they had a 1-2 last time out. Now they are 23rd and 24th, very back of the pack for the Canadian team. Meanwhile, Rai Franca, 5-second time penalty for causing a collision once again for the Brazilian driver. I know he's a rookie, but you've got to keep your nose clean at least once today. And actually, it is just a bit of a pack of rookies from 16th down to 18th. These 3 in the 4th ERL races. It's Antonio Ponte in the 94 moving up the order as someone has gone off. That's 2 cars. Ica World and Devin Butler both off the road, and the Hyperdrive Racing number 9 trying to get it back on track cleanly, and oh no! Hit by Zenzo, and he hit Ray Shen. Hopefully this doesn't result in a pile up. It could though, and yes, Shen is actually just off the track on his own. That's being pitched into a spin by the Angolan. Devin Butler coming to the pits, likely expecting a full course caution, a caution that does not come, as everyone just about able to get out of there with damage, unfortunately for some of these guys. As we go into lap 4 of 18, expect these soft tires to do quite some distance. We're expecting about 5 laps out of them, and 6 out of the mediums. We could see some drivers go for 8 laps on the hard compound tires, and that's the tires that Devin Butler has decided to go on, the white-walled Firestone tires, as we go on board with 71. Daniel Ortega, 3rd in points. He's down in 22nd and now has a 5-second time penalty as we've got another yellow flag. That is for Lam Fong, who's had an off down at the chicane, likely due to a lack of grip. We go on board with the number 19, David Circulara. And that's how you should be making your way through. His teammate Zenzo likely going to have to do an extra lap. Francis Austin now going side by side as Cornwell comes in. Yellows come out. It's for Matteo Klosket, the Belgian, with front wing damage as well. Hard tires going on for Cornwell. Likely going to be racing Devin Butler on pit exit as the race leader. He comes out of the pits side by side with Francis Austin. They keep it clean, thankfully, but he does concede 6th place to the Italian. Hoping to try and fly around the outside, but he can't quite make it stick, so going through this amazing part of the track. So much elevation change. And what a way to take 5th place, getting past Zenzo, who really is struggling with his soft compound tyres. We expect these tyres to do 5 laps. It doesn't mean that you should do 5 laps on them, because after the 3rd, you're going to be feeling it. There's going to be little to no grip, and you can tell Bentley coming into the pits, he can feel that. Close to the wall for Cornwell. And here comes Lam Phong. Tries to make the lunge on Shen, and it doesn't quite work. Contacts between the Vietnamese and Chinese drivers. A 5-second time penalty for the number 73 as he now comes through the final corner. Yes, he has taken 9th place, but certainly not in the cleanest way. Bentley comes out of the pits and he's lost time to Cornwell. 3 seconds the margin. Chris Cornwell currently on course to take a commanding victory here at Fuji Speedway, and his first ChampCar race win, remember, came last season with Dale Coyne. That was victory in Phoenix, Arizona. Now he's looking to take his second and his first with his new team. It's been a slow start to the season, but we've seen championship runs across the ERL start slower. Davi Circulera leading laps for the first time in quite some time in his ChampCar career, as Akari Lopez being hounded by Chris Cornwell, the reigning FG Series champion, versus a man who hasn't taken an ERL Cup in 13. Well, you're going to see who's faster. Cornwell to 2nd place, and in fact to the lead as Circulera comes down into the pits. And a caution comes out, that's for Ahmed Cilia. Down at the chicane, there is the Conquest car, blends in with the Beyblade X and Verizon barriers. Gotten it out of there, but the caution coming out at a perfect time for Davi Circulera and for Akari Lopez. Circulera comes out in 5th, but he's on softs. Softs for Akari as he comes out in 9th. The cautions are about to end here. 1.1 seconds, the margin between the leaders. We're green in Fuji. Akari Lopez slapped with a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision. He's flying up into 7th place, though. I'll give him that. On board we go with Christian Bentley. He's going to get attack mode heading down to the chicane. These two in Amsterdam back in Season 2 of the FG Series tried to make a similar move going through the chicane. Thankfully, they both think better of it now. They've learned from their mistakes as they now come through the final 2 corners. Circulera, fastest 2nd sector of anyone. Bentley following his former teammate going down the straight. Rear wing opening up. He's going to get attack mode with 10 laps to go. He tries to go to the inside line and it works out. Didn't expect to see that as yellows come out in Sector 3. That seems to be for one of the Trackhouse cars. No, it's for Ica World once again. It's side by side between the race leaders, however. Bentley versus Cornwell. These two have gone at it since their time as teammates in the FG Series, and Bentley getting the best of them for now. On board we go with the 96. Yellows once again down at the chicane. That should be, yes, for Roy Franca. That time it was one of the Trackhouse cars. Ica's come down into the pits. And can Cornwell look for a move? Doesn't look like he can. Coming through the final handful of corners. More yellows down at the chicane. We're going to come through with Guillermo Perez, and that is for Lam Phong, the 73 with front wing damage. And are the leaders coming in? No, they are not. That's Ray Franca down into the pits. There's more yellow flags waving. That's for Ray Shen facing the wrong direction in the 33. Hit by his teammate. No time penalties applied, of course. It's in a caution zone. At slow speeds. on board with Zenzo. Hopefully we can see how you're meant to go through the chicane. Yes, that is. And Kimi Nyla getting a track limits warning, and off the track for Danny Ortega. That's the man third in points, hitting the barriers. Hasn't run a very good race so far. Meanwhile, out in front, 0.8 of a second. That's the margin between Bentley and Cornwell. Bentley coming in a lap later, making the most of his fresher mediums. Of course, they wear faster, but 57% versus 60. Am I reading that right? That is right. So Bentley's tyres should be giving him a lot less total performance in comparison to fresh tyres, but still, the offset isn't great enough for it to really matter. If anything, these two are now equal on lap 10 of 18. Davide Cerqueira on course for his best finish in this ChampCar World Series. Guillermo Perez coming down into the pits for his second stop. And we do have some darkening clouds here in Japan. Vancelau with his third and final track limits warning. He's running up in 16th, and we've got yellows down at the chicane. Who is that for? It's for Matthew Hart, the 21, hitting the wall with 8 laps to go. That's certainly quite clumsy from the man who won in Germany last season. There goes Eike Ward up into 9th position. These do certainly have plans that are a lot less friendly to us. That's Cerqueira off into the wall in the number 19. Cornwell's gaining on Bentley right now. He's half second off the back. And the 32 comes into the pits. And it certainly is looking quite a bit grayer. We could see some rain come. What times are going on? Soft compound tyres for Christian Bentley. Looking to try and go hard and fast on this stint. And ooh, more yellows. That's for Devin Butler. The 71 of Devin Butler is into the wall. And avoided by Antonio Ponte. 7 to go. Cornwell leading. That's Danny Ortega behind him. He's a lap down, remember. And I think Hyperdrive, knowing there's a possibility of rain, keeping him out on these hards for as long as he can. So he can do 2 more laps and not really worry. He's at 45% coming through the chicane. Got close to the wall and has to let Ortega go by. They're going to be side by side coming through the final corners. Thankfully, no. Meanwhile, Hudson dueling away with Christian Bentley, who's off into the wall. Christian Bentley hits the barriers down at the chicane as Chris Cornwell straps on a set of soft compound tyres. Hyperdrive probably would have hoped that was a full course caution, but no matter to them. Championship leader Dominic Hudson's going to come across the line to start lap 12 as your race leader, as there are some more yellows and a full course yellow for Dominic Vancelau. We've got no cameras on that, unfortunately, so we can try and come through with Kimi Nyla, and you can see that KV racing car at the same place that Ahmed Cilia wrecked. That helps Cornwell quite a bit. And did Bentley come down into the pits again? He did. That was to fix the front wing, but that takes him out of race-winning contention effectively. And Kazuki Sims, well, he's got the oldest hard compound tyres out of everyone, but he might just be savouring the fact that he's in the top 3 at his home race, as the cautions are about to end with 6 laps to go. We're green. Out in front, Dominic Hudson trying to keep Chris Cornwell at bay. I don't think that's going to work out too good, as attack mode and attack charge in tandem for the 96 takes him back to the race lead. He said he's dominated, he's into the wall with major wing damage. Hudson reclaims the race lead. They're going 3 wide behind him. Cerqueira up into 3rd place, Perez up to 4th, and into the wall for Davide Cerqueira. A chaotic final 3rd of the race has just begun, it seems. Everyone pushing the limits. We watch with Francis Austin as the leaders have come down into the pits once more. I don't think the softs are the tyres that you want to be on. It's 2 cars at the wall. That's Shen and Vita Alves. My oh my. We've seen some chaos before in the ERL, I can say that. Probably nothing like this, though. The green flags are flying down at the chicane. Is that premature, though? Hopefully not, as Akari moves up into 3rd place. Cornwell re-emerges in this race down in 12th. And a race that he has dominated comes undone. It's his 4th start in his 2nd season. Remember, he's already won a race, so still see him move up into the points, but a race win? Almost certainly off the cards right now. With 5 laps to go, Guillermo Perez, your race leader, and he hits the wall. Big slide! My goodness! Hit by Christian Bentley. New race leader, Akari Lopez in the 10 car. Perez drops down to 8th with that damage. And has 60% of his car still usable. Into the pits comes Christian Bentley with 4 laps to go. I cannot even begin to predict this race. Contact there between Austin and Cornwell heading down the straight. That could have gone a lot worse. The 96 opting to stay behind the Italian. And Jonathan Sims has done 9 laps on the second set of hard compound tyres. I think he's reaching the upper limit. I don't expect him to do 10. He's certainly going to come into the pits sooner rather than later. He's only made 1 stop in this race as the Japanese driver on his home track. Remember, we'll be heading to Motegi later on this season, I believe, round 6. I don't have the calendar on me. Matias Antonio, Rondon Animates, 2 rookies, currently in the top 3. On board we go with Akari Lopez. That's what we often see from these drivers coming through the chicane, but they keep pushing it closer and closer to the wall, and that causes them to go over the grass, and just like that for Dominic Hudson, the championship leader is off the track with damage. He gets it back safely, thankfully. With 3 laps to go, it's Akari Lopez who leads. As Brandon Animates comes in, Jonathan Sims finally comes down into the pits. That was an amazing stint. 9 laps on the same set of hards. That shows the life, as that's off into the wall for Antonio Ponte. Thankfully, we've only had 2 full course yellows, and I'm still surprised that Perez is still in this race. I mean, he literally hit the catch fence. In most cases, that would have been day done and dusted. Akari in the 10 car, 2 seconds up on Matias Antonio. We go on board with the 89. The second most famous driver to run the number 89 in the ERL, coming through the chicane. And you know, running the 89, you'd expect him to be at Power Motorsport, but I guess not. Chris Cornwell moving up into 4th place. He's flying through the field. He wants to get back up front. He's got the tires to make it to the end, but does he have the will as it bats off into the wall for Davi Circurera? Tries to thread it back on track, and he can't! Upside down and out of the race for Davi. Into the pits for Lam Fong, for Francis Austin as well. Perfect time to come in as Akari Lopez is down in pit lane. So for the first time in the young driver's career, Matias Antonio leads an ERL race here in Fuji with just 2 laps to go. Expect Akari to have a very good outlap here. He's 2 seconds off of Chris Cornwell as we're green from Fuji. There's a lot of interesting moves being made in the mid-pack here. Hart drops down behind Dominic Hudson coming through that final corner. Meanwhile, Akari all over the back of Chris Cornwell. At number 10. Well, it's won championships with 2 different drivers. It's about to seemingly get a podium. Attack mode online for the Filipino driver. That's going to be second for Akari Lopez if he can hold on, and he can't. Hard in the wall and out of the race for Akari Lopez. 5 seconds is the margin out front. We begin the penultimate lap under these full course yellows. I think Matias Antonio, if he can defy his tires, he can absolutely show up the entire field. I don't know if he can. I don't know how long these mediums can actually last. We predict 6 laps. His 6 laps is next lap. And the better getaway goes to the 96 as we are back green on lap 17. The gap is closing, 2.5 seconds, 2.7 seconds. It's closing slightly. Remember, they started the cautions at 5 seconds being the margin. The 31 getting past Ray Shen. He's trying to make his way through the field as well. I think the only man that's really going to have to worry about his tires is this man, Matthew Hart, coming on to the final few laps. For him, he's at 17%. The Scotsman having a real horror show, if ever I have seen one. Sims all over the back of Perez and Zenzo. They hold it side by side. Close to the wall there for the Brazilian in the 91. Meanwhile, Matias Antonio is going on to begin his final lap of this race. It's been a brilliant run for him. On board with Sims as they're going 3 wide into the chicane. You don't want to do that, mate. Into the wall for Zenzo. Just avoided by the Japanese driver. That could have been so much worse. As on this final lap, we're about to see a new race winner in the ERL. And for the second race in a row, it's going to be a rookie. Vita Alves flies off the track. He's yet to take a race win in any level of the electric racing lead. And for Matias Antonio and KV Racing Technology, Antonio Ponte is out of the race, and that's going to bring a speedy end to procedures. Unfortunate for the Team Penske man, but very fortunate for the KV Racing man. I don't think Cornwell's got enough left to fight back. Nor does he have the track position to fight back. Full course cautions are ending. The margin 1.1 seconds. For Matias Antonio, what a brilliant day in Japan. He's going to come through the final back corner. His team surely screaming over the radio. He's a race winner in the ERL. It's Matias Antonio. Here in Fuji as Francis Austin hits the wall and hits it quite hard. Chris Cornwell takes a commanding second in place. That surely could have been a win, should have been a win, but unfortunately just wasn't. That's the championship leader out of the race. Iker and Hudson both out. Well, we've seen some finishes around tracks like this. Remember Marrakesh Season 14 in Formula E. Coming through the final back corner over there, we saw a run to the line, the likes of which we haven't seen in quite some time. And unfortunately, we didn't get something like that, but we got a fairy tale story instead. It's a first race win for Matias Antonio. I think Hart, yes, full car puncture for Matthew Hart. Newest tires couldn't make it. Thankfully, he wasn't collected in any incident. Damn, you could have done 10 laps on the same set of hards. Damn, Pappy. So that's 17 finishes from Fuji. So here's your podium. Matias Antonio bringing it home for KV Racing Technology. And that is the first win for a Brazilian in the ERL since versus Theo, of course, last season in Formula E. But in ChampCar, I don't think a Brazilian has won, as this league has been known. This part of the league has been known as ChampCar. Chris Cornwell bringing home a fantastic second place, and good job for Lam Fong bringing it home in third position. As for the rest of the finishers, Brandon Animates fourth from Christian Bentley and Kimi Nyla. Then it's Francis Austin and Guillermo Perez. Sims coming home in his home race, the first of two, in ninth with Zenzo. The Brazilian driver coming home with a pretty good 10th place. Outside of the top 10, Devin Butler was 11th from Ray Shen and Matteo Klosket. Then it's Daniel Ortega, Vita Alves, Ryan Franca, and Matthew Hart, with the non-finishers being Iker World, Dominic Hudson, Antonio Ponce, Akari Lopez, Davi Circulara, Dominic Ventila, and Alan Cilia. While Christian Bentley still leads the points, his former teammate Chris Cornwell is now 1 point behind. If he took victory today, he would be leading by 6. Dominic Hudson drops down to third, with Matias Antonio Antonio in 4th, tied on points with Kimi Nyla. Danny Ortega and Lam Fong tied on 27 in 7th place. You better be making 6-7 jokes in the comments. A three-way tie for 8th between Brandon Animates after his show-stopping performance today. Ahmed Celia and Guillermo Perez tied for 11th between Akari Lopez and Matthew Hart, as well as Ico World, with Davi Zercarrera on his own in 14th. The two Andretti Autosport drivers tied on 10 points, then it's Mario Klosket, Kazuki Sims scoring his first points today, Zenzo scoring his first points, and Franca, Butler, Vanzalo, Ponce, and Alves still yet to score. Heading into the 5th round of this exciting ChampCar World Series season, the constructors looks like this. Nord Hyperdrive leading the way, 3 points up on target Chip Ganassi. Forsyth Racing are 3rd, and then you find the team that has the points leader. Sims 888 TGR are down in 4th. Conquest Racing are 5th, then it's KV Racing Technologies, Dragon Racing, Team Penske tied on points. Together, the two teams owned by members of the Penske family. Andretti Autosport, then a tie for 10th between Dale Coyne and Power Motorsport, and Trackhouse Racing bringing up the rear. While Chris Cornwell is on the verge of taking the championship lead next time out if he can have a very good race, even if he doesn't win, he just needs to outscore the guys around him. I know that sounds simple, but we've seen a lot harder. Dominic Hudson came into this race with a commanding lead in the championship, fizzles away after a DNF on the final lap, almost as if Hyperdrive told Hyper to take him out. We'll be looking into that, don't you worry. A lot of drivers with DNFs. There's only one man who has finished. There's been two men rather who have finished every race. That's Cornwell and Antonio, as well as Ortega, Perez, and Austin, Shen, Klosket. Okay, there's a lot of drivers who have finished every race. But only one man has taken points in all of them, and he's up in 2nd, alongside Christian Bentley, of course, who leads the championship. We could see another fire-up between the old Trackhouse Racing teammates. They finished last season's FG Series tied on points. Not even tied on points, 1 and 2 rather. I'm getting a lot of my statistics wrong today. It's very early in the morning. Even so, we've got the Formula E World Series coming up next year on Sparkplug Motorsport, so thank you for waiting so long for this race to come out, and we will see you guys next time then when the Electric Racing League returns.